Wahine basketball fans, we are live at the Ruby Tuesday here in Moanalua for the Laura Beeman Show right here on ESPN Moanalua. We've got the live crowd here. They are excited. They got food and drink, and we got head coach Laura Beeman. What more can you ask for? Food, drink, and head coach Laura Beeman to talk some Wahine basketball. Hawaii getting ready to go on the road this weekend, a one-game road trip in the Big West Conference against UC Irvine. Dave Kawada here with you. And Coach, I just asked you, you're leaving tomorrow, but normally, if it was a Thursday, Saturday schedule on the road, what would the schedule of the week look like?
If it was a Thursday, Saturday, we would be leaving today. We'd be flying right now, maybe landing on the continent. About now, we would go to our hotel, pick up some food, roll and stretch for the day.
So you normally try to practice like the day you leave, like you said tomorrow, you're going to leave tomorrow, but you're going to practice early in the morning. Is that kind of how you like to schedule it?
It depends on kind of how the team is playing, obviously, where we're headed to, but we will do an early morning shoot around. Just get some energy going, get some blood flowing before we get on that 5 to 6 hour flight. So that when we land, we don't have to practice, we don't watch film. We'll do a little bit of rolling instruction, if we need to use treatments, but we want to get them on the time frame as quick as we can. I'm big on 8 hours. I know there's a lot of philosophies of travel and how many hours and how much sleep. I think that kids need that 8 hours of sleep. So when we land, we really have a good schedule. It's hard for them to go to bed at 10 o'clock because it's only 8 o'clock here, but they understand the importance of the sleep.
And we'll get a little bit more into next year going into the Mountain West, because I know last show we kind of mentioned about recruiting and preparing to play in the Mountain West, and that's the one element that's really big in terms of how things will change is the travel. Suddenly, from going to California for conference play, it was at least one time zone you're dealing with. Now there's multiple. Does that kind of overly concern you? Is that kind of like, hey, that's part of the game, that's just adapt? Yeah,
there's nothing we can do, right? What I'm hoping is we will get 3-game road trips. So we'll be home for 3, away for 3. It cuts out at least one trip. I would love for them to start us in this 2-hour time zone and then get us to the 3-hour, 4-hour time zone versus take us to a 4-hour and back. So that was some of the requests that I made in our scheduling is let's get on the road for 3, start in Arizona, Nevada, California, and then hop over and then take the bus ride and then come back. Because coming back won't matter. So crossing fingers, they are receptive to that. But yeah, not much travel, it's no joke.
No doubt. If you want to call or text in a question for head coach Laura Beeman, 808-296-1420. Also, our live audience, if you have a question or comment, Cole will bring the mic over to you, Phil Donahue. And it's good to know I have a crowd who knows who's Phil Donahue. Sometimes I mention that, and they're like glazed eyes, deers in the headlights. Let's recap a little bit of last week. Would it be safe to say, so we played UC Riverside and UC San Diego. Is it safe to say that UC Riverside is an improving team and program, and UC San Diego is a solid team this year?
Yeah, 100%. I think that we have a good top-level team, teams within the Big West. I think Riverside's on the cusp of that, and like you said, getting better every day. I think San Diego, Irvine, Davis, Santa Barbara are absolutely in that upper echelon. And so this past week, we felt really good about practice. I thought that we did have some gains on the court. I thought we had some growth on the court. Unfortunately, we could not finish those games, but we played 2 really good teams. And so, it's about the process. It's about where we're headed. It's not time to break glass yet.
The great part of conference play is you get to play them again, right? You have a chance to kind of look at film and see how they were. But the first time you're playing them, these 2 teams, was there any surprises in terms of what you scouted on the film and how they executed, or a player's performance, anything like that?
I think the surprise for me was how poorly we defended Wickstrom on, Riverside. She's a very talented young lady, but we lost our minds and let that kid go off for 35. And again, I'm not going to take anything away from her. She's very talented, but we lost our scout. And, at halftime we talked about she's got 18 points and she's good, but we need to do a better job. And first play of the second half, we allowed her to go to her strong hands. So those are the areas of growth that we need to continue to work on. And then as far as San Diego, I thought they did a great job of just sharing the ball. They had multiple players that scored, did a great job of inside-outside play. I thought the difference in that game, obviously our turnovers are still poor. We're turning the ball over way too much. We're still in ball games turning the ball over. I thought the difference in that game came down to take the turnovers out of it. They hit shots when they were open and we didn't. And anytime we blew an assignment, they were hitting shots. There were 3 or 4 possessions with 4, 3, 2, 1 on the clock where we either fouled with no time, put it to the free throw line, or allowed them to score at the end of a quarter, which shifted the momentum. And those are things that you don't want to happen with a young team, is going down 4 into the fourth quarter and you're now going down 7 in the fourth quarter. And so those are things that we just have to continue to grow and lock in and make those changes. But both those teams are good teams.
What is, when you mentioned the turnovers, what is a number that you'd be okay with in terms of total per game? Like
well,
this?
0.
Yeah, right.
10 to 12.
10 to 12?
10 to 12. 10 to 12.
So against Riverside, actually was 14. That was reasonably okay.
Yep, and again, we allowed one player to just lose her mind, and we allowed it. So putting, we can have a game of 14 turnovers or 12 turnovers, but if we don't do a great job on the boards, we don't do a great job on the free throw line, or we don't do a good job on our scout, we've only checked off one box. And so putting together complete games is very, very challenging for this team right now. We will get there. I think that if I'm going to call the coach in into February, we'll be having a little bit different discussion. If not, then it's just going to be, hey, we could never figure it out, and we're going to have to make some changes going into next year because we cannot do what we're doing now in the Mountain West for sure.
Head coach Laura Beeman joining us here on the Laura Beeman Show. 808-296-1420 is the number. You can call, you can text, live audience. If you have a question, raise your hand, and Cole will come over to you. I mentioned a little bit of stat there. Obviously, you look at stats and numbers all the time during a game, post-game, obviously, to evaluate. When you look at a stat sheet, what are the ones that you kind of put a beeline in, like the stats that you feel are important, especially right after a game?
I'm looking at our turnovers. I'm looking at points off of turnovers. Looking at shooting percentages, overall for the game. 2s and 3s, but I'm also looking at rebounds. I want to know what we've done on the boards. How many offensive boards have we given up? Giving up offensive boards is just giving another team possessions. So there's a lot of different factors that I'm looking at, but when you're losing games, the key statistics to me are the turnovers and rebounding.
Looks like we have a text in here. Let me get to that. Coach, how is the mental state of the team? I'm sure they must be hugely disappointed of the results and never expected this. Keep your chin up, Coach, but what is the mental state of the team?
Thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know what my text messages right now are going to be, so keep it nice. I think the team is frustrated. I don't think there is a lack of confidence, which is good for a young team. I also think that some of the high-level confidence and arrogance that we have at times is part of our problem. It's a coachable group. They've got great energy, but there has to be a wantingness to buy into what we're doing. They're still coachable. They're still working hard. There is no lack of confidence. They are frustrated. They are frustrated that they are not putting full games together. For me, this is uncharted territory. I've never been in this situation, which I'm okay with that. This is a challenge for me to figure out what we need to do differently in practices to win games, because I think we're losing games in practice. And so that's on me to figure out how to teach differently, how to get them to understand what we're saying, not speak alien to them. What we've done for the last 4 years successfully isn't working with this group right now, so we have to figure some things out. So for me, it's a challenge. I'm not losing confidence. I am losing patience with mistakes, but I'm not losing confidence.
When you mention, obviously, the frustration, it's natural to be frustrated during a game, too, and sometimes the challenge is when you're frustrated or you're getting, that moment where you just feel overwhelmed physically or mentally somewhere in the game. Do you see that as well, or are players getting that but overcoming that, at least in the game?
I think early on we saw a lot of kids that struggle with Knicks play mentality. They would make a mistake, they'd get really down, and then they would compound it. And we've worked a lot with some of those players on, look, it's a 40-minute game. You can have 1 minute, 2 minutes of a really bad game and 38 minutes of a great game, or you can let those 2 minutes turn into 25, 26, 28. And so we work on that all the time. You can't get back the mistake. What you can do is move forward. And so, unfortunately for some players, they've kind of taken themselves out of rotation because of the mental, and that's something that we have to see it in practice before we're going to put it on the floor in a game. And when you see a kid that's constantly getting down and not getting out of it and compounding those mistakes. We can't take the chance in a game, particularly not right now. I think that for the most part, there is a level of frustration at times, but when you have your Sanayas and your Izzy's, Tori's, Amani's, those kids are able to really bounce back quickly. And the huddles before we go in as a coaching staff are very much like, it's good, let's get it together, we're in this game, stop turning it over, get on the boards. They're giving the reminders that are necessary, and they're doing it in a very authentic way. It's not just lip service to boost up these, the youngsters. And then we have some youngsters that are highly confident. And again, that's a great thing, and at times that's a little bit of a problem. So, for me, it's the Knicks play mentality is huge. The buy-in has to continue to grow.
You mentioned some of those names. I was going to say, it's great to have, an Imani Perez. She's kind of this cool customer, right? Mm-hmm. Business on the floor. And then when Sanaya comes in, she's expressive, but she gives you that energy. She's diving on the floor. Plus, she's multi-talented. I mean, those players, I think, it's great to have on the floor with the network of the other players on the team as well.
It is. And right now we know it's our guard play that's struggling a little bit in just possessions and execution. And that's where we need the leadership from these older post players. Sanaya Neverson has just been an absolute fun kid to coach. She is level. She's just adorable. Works her tail off. She's one of the highest load players that we have all the time. And she's just coachable. And when she makes a mistake, sometimes you can see her get into her head. But that's when it's like, you're good, let's go. And she's like, okay, coach, I got you. And we just keep it pushing. So she's been a really fun player. Monty's the one that's been with us for 4 years. And right now, her level of frustration or concern is probably greater than anybody else's, because this is her senior year. Mm-hmm. And she wants to go out, with bang. She wants to get into the tournament. She wants to make some noise. And I think the losing for her maybe generate a little bit more volume in her voice. Sometimes losing has to be the motivator. And if someone doesn't step up and give us some volume, then we're going to continue to have some struggles. So I think losing, unfortunately, that's what it may take to get some kids to open their mouths a little bit and have a little bit more bass in what they're saying.
No doubt. We'll take a first time out. We got a couple of texts we'll get to right after the break. We're here at the Laura Beeman Show live from Ruby Tuesdays here at Moanalua. We'll be right back. This is ESPN Honolulu. Back to Ruby Tuesdays here at Moanalua, live, the Laura Beeman Show here on ESPN Honolulu. All right, we're going to get to a couple of texts here, Coach, but one thing I wanted to kind of do is mention a player, and then if you can give us a quick summary of how they are right now at this point in time, maybe from training camp till now, and we'll go to each player and kind of give that quick summary at this point in the season, leading into the rest of the Big West Conference. All right, let's go to the text messages first. It says, you said previously that leadership is challenging for this team. How do you develop a strong leader?
It's constant communication. It's sitting them down. First off, you have to find out if they're interested in being a leader. If someone doesn't want to be a leader, you cannot make someone force someone, because you will get nowhere with that. So you sit down and you talk to them and you say, hey, is this something that you want to do? And if you get the yes, then it's sitting down talking about, okay, tell me your leadership style. And it's a very open conversation. It's not leading them down a path. A lot of times they'll say, Coach, I don't know. How do you do that? And it's really trying to develop a voice that they have inside to be confident enough to verbalize the feelings. And that's really difficult because you have to be very vulnerable to be a leader. You have to admit that you're wrong. You have to, take someone's idea that maybe you don't think is the best, but for the health of the team, you say, yeah, I like that idea. And then you have to kind of cultivate that idea and make it a better idea while they still think it's their idea. There's a lot of different challenges that you have to do. And as a young woman, if you're not used to having that voice, if you don't have that self-confidence, if you're afraid of how people are going to view you, then coming out into the court and saying today's practice is unacceptable is a really difficult statement. And so, I said last time I was on last week that one of the best leaders we had was the Calais Adolfos and the Callan Spillers, because they didn't care what people thought about them. Or if they did, winning mattered more at that moment. And so it's empowering voices. And right now, trying to empower Amani and Jovi and Izzy and some of these other kids to just step up and say, hey, this is not acceptable. We have to be better, starting with myself. That's a really difficult task if you don't have people that want to do that. And the biggest thing is kids don't want to be wrong. They don't want to hurt their teammates' feelings. They think they have to be perfect. And none of those things check the box for a leader. I definitely, I feel like I'm a leader of my program. I am the farthest person from perfect. When you make the mistake, you own it. When you make the mistake, you call it out. When you make the mistake, you say, okay, I blew it. How do we move past this? And so it's just trying to develop that with our girls. And it has been a challenge, but it's just constant communication with them.
By the way, my broadcast partner for games, Callan Spiller. So when you mentioned that in the last show, I brought it up to her. She's, I heard that. It teared me. I got all emotional about it. And so I took the opportunity to ask her, like, what things that you did, specifically? And we talked about it. And she mentioned about the little things. Like the example was, and she got pushback from it. She said, I told the team, we need to wear the same shirts when we go to weight training. Mm-hmm. We need to be coordinated. We need to be a team. And she got pushed back, and it took some time. But again, to your point, she was willing to say something that she knew wasn't going to be totally looked upon positively by everyone else. And she mentioned a few others, but those little things, like you said, to be vulnerable and put yourself out there to do it.
Yep. And Callan did a great job of those types of things. And I'll say the other thing is, every great leader has to have amazing followers. And there's nothing wrong with saying, I don't want to be a leader, but I'm going to follow. It doesn't mean you follow blindly. It doesn't mean you don't check or question. You're not a yes woman. But every leader needs that follower that's going to say, yeah, I'm going to follow you. I'm going to support you. And then maybe behind the closed doors, you say, why did you do that? Let's have this conversation, because I'm buying into you because I have to, but I'm not sure what direction you're going. And have you thought about this? I think great followers manage their leadership up, right? And we do that on the basketball court. We do that in the department. Managing people up is a huge part of leadership. Being able to take that, but then also being willing to do that. And so I think our team has a lot of great followers. I don't think this is a team that's going to give a lot of pushback. It's just convincing one or two players to step up and say, okay, I'm gonna take the heavy load, jump on, let's go. And I think that's part of our process right now.
Let's go to the next text here. By the way, 808-296-1420 to call or text if you have a question or comment. This texter, do you favor at times double-teaming post players like Wickstrom from UC Riverside?
Well, I feel like Wickstrom was more a perimeter player. I felt like she was getting downhill on us. She was either getting pin downs, receiving it, ripping and going. They had a rip ISO play. She'd get to the basket. She was coming off some staggers, and it was the blown coverage when we were beat that we didn't switch on her correctly. We will double up on post players if we need to, but we don't need to with Amani, Sanaya, Ratoria. Those guys can hold their own in the post. When we played Liberty, we didn't double team post, but we were able to play off of one of their players that couldn't shoot past 9 feet. And so we were able to really kind of muck up the paint. Against a player like Whitstrom, it's about your one pass away defender being in the gap so she can't get that downhill drive. And we were poor that night of making her feel pressure one pass away. And then when we did get beat, our backside rotation was late. Our post player would step up. They'd either get a shape up or we would leave the people open on the perimeter. So we just had some major breakdowns against Wickstrom, and she was getting downhill so quickly and such straight line drives. There's not a lot of help you can bring on that kind of offense when you're just not where you're supposed to be.
Okay, another texter coming in here. I'm in the crowd, and I hear people yelling from behind telling me the players need to move around in the offense. And this happens a lot, mostly around the perimeter and sometimes players in the corners. Is this part of the offensive scheme, or are the players supposed to be more collectively in motion?
Well, I think for good basketball, you have to have movement on the court. It's about spacing. It's about movement. It's about being shot ready. It's about protecting the ball. And so when the ball moves on offense, you have to move. Whether it's just a slight one step to your right, one step to your left to open up a different window, or it's a 45-degree angle cut because you want to draw a defense to lift up the corner. There are so many different ways of movement in offense. But when you are standing around and your teammate has a drive, you're going to turn the ball over. And that's, again, a young team. We do a lot of ball watching right now. So the ball is moving and we're watching the ball moving versus the ball is moving and let's get to a window. That is something that takes a lot of time. I'm hoping that by February, March, we're starting to understand that movement better. But there were times last year with a Lily and a Kelsey Amai and some of these really talented players where we would go back and watch film and be like, yo, Kelsey, the ball has moved, 3 dribbles and you're standing there. What did that look like? And she's like, yeah, my bad, coach. I was ball watching, and it happens, right? And so it's a level of focus, it's a level of engagement. But in any good offense, you have to have movement, period. And that's where we're yelling all the time. Cut with pace, move, shot ready. And it might be a very subtle movement, but there has to be movement.
Another text. What do you look for in someone when you recruit them?
Someone that doesn't turn the ball over. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Number one there.
It's the full package, right? It's obviously the skill set. We want to see a skill set. Obviously, it's what we need going into that recruiting cycle. We can't have a bunch of guards. We can't have a bunch of posts. You have to have balance. So we're looking at what is going to fill the needs we have, and that works with our system, right? Do we need a shooter? That's where Izzy came in this year, get in the portal, and we said we needed a shooter, so we went and got a shooter. If you're looking for post players, on and on. So that's the first thing. Skill set, does it fit your system? And then we're looking for kids that want to win, that are good character kids that want to win. And there are times that you can go after kids that are going to have attitude, that aren't always going to be the easiest to coach, that may be a problem in the locker room if you have 12 really good kids that are ready to set them straight, right? We've seen that in the past. So the character part, I think that's our job to help develop that, right? And they get into our program. They like the culture. They like how we coach. They want to get on the court. They want to please. As much as they say they don't want discipline, they do. But it's skill set for our system, and then we want kids that want to come in and be a part of something bigger than themselves, and that's what we feel the University of Hawaii represents in the state.
We'll get to a couple more texts. We'll take our next break here. A couple more texts coming in, 808-296-1420. And also, live audience, if you have any questions, raise your hand. Cole will come over to you. It's the Laura Beeman Show live from Ruby Tuesdays here in Moanalua. We'll be right back. This is ESPN Honolulu.
Did you know emotional symptoms are common?
You're listening to The Laura Beeman Show on ESPN Honolulu.
Last show, you mentioned that one of the things you liked to do when you were younger was after church, go with your dad, get a sandwich. It was a sandwich. and
Subway
a
sandwich and a milkshake with my mom, my dad, and my brothers, my sisters. Yeah.
Oh, and then come home and watch football
Yep.
with your dad. Are you still a football fan?
100%.
And your team is?
You know, I love Mahomes. I love Andy Reid. It's
Tough year.
less tea. Maybe I should stop watching Kansas City. It's more about the way he leads his team. It's the way that Andy Reid has always been able to find a way. They get the best out of their players. So I really like Kansas City because of Mahomes and just his leadership style.
Yeah, I'm a big Mahomes fan as well. Just love his style of play. Do you watch college football? I mean, aside from University of Hawaii, do you watch college football a little too?
Not as much. I do watch UH. I love what Timmy's done. I love the excitement that team has brought to the community, and waiting for a great stadium so we can pack even more people in there and get even more energy. But I've loved watching that program. So I don't watch a lot of college just because usually it's on Saturdays, and those are tougher, more difficult days for me. So Sundays, kind of get on the couch and watch a little bit of football.
What type of fan are you? Like, if you were first of all, there's a fan in front of their own television set. That's one way. That's one person there. If you're in public watching a football game, you're at a Chiefs game, you're at Arrowhead Stadium, what kind of fan are you? Are you one of those, obviously decked out in red? Are you yelling a lot?
I'll have a shirt on. I'm gonna yell when there's a good play. I'm gonna, probably. I don't yell too much when there's bad plays. That's just part of sports. But when I'm home, I probably do more things that might irritate people. Like a flag will go out, and I'm like, that's going to be a holding ball's coming back, and that type of thing. Or there's an illegal procedure, or I'll do stuff like that. More kind of watching the game and commentating, or like, oh my gosh, he just missed the slant across the middle of the field, and I might irritate people that way just because I'm going to commentate. But I don't get too crazy. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Not throwing Nerf stuff
No,
at the TV.
no.
Oh, not bad. Well, keep the kind of blood pressure down.
No.
All right, let's go back to the text. Let's get back to basketball here. Here, a text message here. Oh, we are usually way taller than the other teams. Why don't we pound the ball inside?
Yeah, it's a great question. I wish we would pound the ball more inside. I do. I think there are times where it's twofold, and maybe even more, that when our posts are open, our guards aren't seeing it, and they're missing the window of opportunity. And then when they do get the ball inside, our posts have either released the seal, or by now there's a double team, or the window of opportunity is not there. I know that our post players are drawing a lot of attention, so there's a huge crowd. Right. And so a lot of times we'll come down the floor, we get the ball to the wing, the post is being doubled or tripled, the ball needs to be swung or skipped, and then you have that opportunity to drive and hit a shape up or go back inside. And by that time, the guards are a little bit more stingy with the ball sometimes. So it has been a point of emphasis that post players rim run in transition, get an early post up when you're one-on-one. Guards get the ball when they need to get the ball. And it is just a little bit of either a skill set deficiency that we are working on. They're not seeing that opportunity. The other time is we will get the ball into the post players, and they've got to finish. They have to execute, because I get asked all the time, why do you not play your two bigs all the time together? There has to be a level of execution to have two bigs on the floor. And if you have two bigs on the floor, you have to have shooting around those bigs, because if you double team, then you have to have people that you can move the ball to. So it's not just as easy as saying, go, high-low with Amani and Tori and pound the ball inside. If they're bringing help, there has to be movement. There has to be ability to shoot around those guys as well. But then they have to execute. Mm-hmm. And there have been games where we've had some of those bigs on, and we've had a lot of missed layups or the inability to get the ball inside. So, but to answer the text, it is a point of emphasis to go inside. I think the window of opportunity, the timing is still a little bit off.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to do a little bit of player summary. So I'm going to give you a player. It can just give me a quick summary of how they are now, right at this point, and maybe a little bit of how they've either improved from training camp till now. So let's start with your senior, Imani Perez.
I think Amani's physicality has improved a ton. I thought this year she came in and she was shooting the ball well, but she was still a little bit, avoiding the contact. And I think the Liberty game was a really good game for her to show. She's put some work in the weight room. She's increased her strength. She is not afraid to hit a body. So I think her physicality has improved greatly. And I think that she knows she is a defensive stopper on our team and has to be more glue to make up for some of the mistakes that are happening with our guards at times.
Bailey Flavel.
Bailey's a talented kid. Absolutely love having her in the program. She has got to get off the ball. I think her confidence in herself is an amazing trait to have so young, but at times it causes her thought process to be no one can stop her. And that is a great problem to have. It's a double-edged sword, because when we need someone to take the ball at the end of the game, she wants it, and she really believes she's going to win the game. But there are times she's not going to be the person that scores. She has to lead to the score. And so I think her growth is just ball movement, and just more buy-in to the overall health of a team offense. But she's an amazing kid.
And a player that just got a start for the first time this season, Jade Peacock.
Yeah, Jade Jr. Has worked really hard on her game, spends a ton of time in the gym, working her shot. Got to keep her healthy. That's the biggest thing with Jade, is got to keep her healthy, because when she's not healthy, she loses that conditioning. It's hard for her to bring that back. Trying to be a really great leader with a good voice, and we just have to keep developing that.
Let's go back to the text here. Regarding defense, is it part of the coaching defensive approach for outside players to be playing about 5 feet away from the offensive play with ball, or should they be more pressure right at the point of attack?
It's all about a scout. If we have a kid that we're guarding that can't shoot a three, there's no reason to go out and pressure her at the three-point line. We're going to play the analytics, and if someone's shooting 17% from three, we're going to guard the drive. The problem is again, we have a bunch of freshmen, and they'll start the game on someone who can't shoot the three, and in transition, they get matched up on someone who's shooting 55% from three, and they shoot a three ball at the rate of 65% of the time, and they're 5 feet off, and we get popped. So it's the recognition of, we don't guard every team the same way. We don't guard every player the same way. That doesn't make sense. You guard based on analytics. You guard if someone can't go left, you force them left. If someone can't go right, you force them right. If you do that more times than not, there's a great level of success. And the last 4 years, we've been in the top of the country, and what we've done defensively, we've had to kind of simplify some of the things we're doing this year so this team can lock into it. But the basic things of knowing who shooters are and who shooters aren't is still a challenge with their focus. And so to the question, it's not just a yes or a no. You get up on people or you don't. It's all based on analytics and what they're good at. You take that away.
Who would you say on your team right now is the best or the better of on-ball defense? Like, you'd want to, this is the person you put on, we got to get right there.
Amani Perez. I think Amani can play some guards. I don't think she can play ones and twos depending on who we're playing. But Amani can be switched off onto threes, fours, fives, and she does a heck of a job with her length and just being smart. And that kid's footwork is amazing. As far as our guards, who I would want on the ball, that's a challenge at times. I think Tiana Bond has the speed to do it. She just has to get a little bit more technique. I think Kara Curtis is really good on ball, not so good off ball. Loses focus, kind of gets lost, doesn't know what's going on, but on ball, she's very, very good.
Ah, interesting. All right, let's go back to another text that just came in. Okay, it says, Coach, be honest. Which team was the best team to coach in your tenure here so far? Ooh, the crowd here.
That is really hard, and I'm not avoiding the question, because as my players will tell you, I don't care if I hurt their feelings. Just kidding. I have to go back to probably, that Shauna Quahu group, and it's just probably because of the relationship that I was able to establish with Shauna and just watch that young lady grow, not only as a basketball player, but as a person, and understanding. Probably that year with Shauna, when, that whole group was, Coach, it's okay to be okay. And that struck a chord in me that was, it was unnerving to me that the group of women at Division I, the only institution, university in the entire state, they were okay being okay. that was not okay for me, and that really bothered me. And so to put the effort into developing the culture in our locker room from day one, that it is not okay to be okay in anything other than maybe your health. Be okay in your health. But when you're trying to win, when you're trying to be successful, you don't want to be okay. You want to be great. You want to fight. You want to compete. And to try to instill that into that team when it was a thread throughout that we've just been told this since day one, that was my challenge, to say, no, it's not okay, and we're not going to be okay. And then for that team to do the things they did that year early on was really special, to see the mental growth, and them to say at the end of the year, we're better than okay. And I think that's probably why that team meant so much to me, was just because I think it laid the foundation for people knowing that I was not just here as a flash in the pan. That winning and treating people right and growing these young ladies meant something to me, and I know that meant something to the community. And so I go back to that very first team, and that was the foundation of what our programs here in Hawaii were going to be like.
I think I've said this to you. I know I keep saying this about some of your previous teams and some of your previous players, that I always thought Shauna Lekuahiu, whenever she was on the floor during those years, even if your team is behind or the other team has gone on a run, you're in an offensive drought, once she came back on the floor, it seems like she settled. And it looked like the other teammates on the floor felt, we're going to be okay. She kind of had that vibe about her.
Shauna was a dog. And every team needs a dog. And I think right now we've got some little puppies that are trying to become dogs. But we need more dogs. And so, it was funny because I woke up last night and I was thinking about where we are and kind of what's going on with the team. And I was thinking about that group. And I remember a play, it was at Riverside, and Shauna ran a girl down from about 20 feet behind her and blocked the ball so hard into the wall. And I'm waiting for that. I want that dog. And so, the calming effect is that someone's willing to put the team on their back. Anybody that isn't willing to do that, when you have a player that says, let's go, that's going to calm you down. If you don't have that player, then as a player, you're thinking, oh my gosh, what if I get the ball? And now you're not thinking about what you need to be thinking about, which is execution on offense and defense. You're thinking, don't come at me. And I think Amani gives us that on defense, but I don't know if we have that yet on offense.
All right, let's go back to the text line. You have been successful in previous seasons with platooning. Does it sometimes take away from players getting in a groove?
I think you have to know your team. I think we tried that a little bit this year because we had a group that we felt was pretty good defensively, pretty good offensively, and then we just had other areas that we lost too much execution and productivity in. So, I think right now it's trying to find out what we can live without, if that makes sense. I think we do have better offensive groups, but how much defense are we going to lose? I think we have some better defensive groups, but we have to score the ball. And so part of it is trying to figure out what we're going to have to settle without, and part of it is with the young team figuring out who's showing up to play and being consistent.
This is a great text, rather. I think your coaching here at Hawaii has been the best from day one. All right, yeah, I think so too.
Thank you.
And
is that somebody here in the audience? Mom, are you listening?
And it's funny. I had a question here related to that. Do you get nervous before a game? Or anxious, either the first game of the season or a big opponent, anything like that?
There's anxiety because I want to see how we're going to perform. I don't think nervousness is there anymore. I actually kind of have my routine on a game day of what I do. The house is very clean. If I'm in a hotel room, that I'm doing things that keep me busy. I'll admit I play my Candy Crush, I'll play about 30 minutes, but I'm not playing to win, I'm playing to think. It's that like a fidget thing, right? I'm just playing that, but I'm thinking about basketball the entire time. So there's not really a level of nervousness because I feel prepared. I think there's a level of anxiety because once the kids get on the court, there's very little I can do to change how they're going to play. We can call timeouts, we can make adjustments. Ultimately, they have to, apply what it is we're doing. there is a level of excitement, though. Like, I'm already excited about going to Irvine. I feel like we've practiced well again this week. I feel like we are growing. And I know there's going to be that one game that's going to be the turning point. When that game happens, I don't know. But I'm excited to see, okay, is it going to be this game? And then after the game, if it's not, I'm going to look at, here we go. We lost the game again, or hopefully we turn it around and we start winning. But if we're losing, I'm not getting sad or angry. It's okay, how am I going to fix this? Because I don't have time to be sad or angry. We need to figure out what's going on and again, try to get these kids to understand what it is we're asking for.
All right, then. Most anxiety, excitement you have felt first game coaching at junior college, or your first game coaching here at the University of Hawaii, or the first NCAA tournament game?
Maybe the first NC2A tournament game, just because it was, obviously my first time as well. Again, the bigger games don't really get me nervous because I feel like we're prepared, and I don't want my team to feel if I'm nervous. So I probably get more calm in big games. I think one of the most nervous moments that I've had as a coach was walking into the Sparks practice and game, knowing that at any time Michael Cooper may hand me the board and say, draw up a play. And I've got Lisa Leslie and Candace Parker and all these other players in front of me thinking, what's this, snotty-nosed little girl going to do? I think that gave me more nervousness and anxiety because I was coaching with two or three of the best coaches that I think have ever walked the face, with Michael Cooper and Marianne Stanley, and then players on the floor that were just amazing with Lisa Leslie, Candace Parker, Cindy Spencer, Jessica Moore, Delisha Milton. Those are all Olympians. Right. And to be able to hold my own with those women, you can't fake it till you make it with those guys. You either know your stuff or not. So that was a time frame where I was pretty stressed and pretty anxious and had to know my stuff all the time.
I could sense that.
Yeah. You just got me all worked up, Dave, right now.
All right, we'll take another timeout, come back for the final segment. I got a couple more player summaries and even a couple more texts to get to. This is the Laura Beeman Show live from Ruby Tuesdays in Moanalua Shopping Center. We'll be right back. ESPN Honolulu.
You're listening to the Laura Beeman Show on ESPN Honolulu.
All right, welcome back. Final segment here of the Laura Beeman Show. And Coach, you mentioned, is your mom listening? She is.
You know.
Hi, Mom. How's it going?
Yeah, when I said, Mom, are you listening? I got a text on my phone that said yes. I'm incredibly fortunate the support I've had my entire career from my parents and my family, my friends, Hawaii, California. I've had friends that have watched since day one at Mount Sac. And they still follow. They come to the away games. They're watching until 11:30 at night. I can't count how many special events and holidays I've missed because of coaching. And so to have family that still supports what I do and they're engaged in what I do when I have a pretty selfish career, I'm really fortunate. So Mom and Dad, thank you for listening, and I love you.
Do they listen to the radio broadcast?
They do. They think
Okay,
Callan's
thank you.
great. No, I'm
Thank
kidding.
you.
No, they like
She
you
is
guys.
great,
Yeah.
by the way.
They
But
think you guys do a great job. They
Thanks
watch as much as they can, for sure.
Thanks for listening, Mom and Dad out there.
Yeah.
Got another text here coming in. Oh, I don't know if you can. Well, we're going to read this text. So it's a little bit on the tangent here. Hi, Coach. I love the ads with Waiakea water. How did that come about, and is that how you keep hydrated during your games?
Waikea has been really good to us, and a couple of our kids have NIL deals with them, and they actually sent us a ton of water last year into Henderson, which was such a nice surprise because these kids go through water like you can believe. And so I think it was Kelsey and I said, hey, Coach, will you do this? And she's working with them, and I said, of course. I said, as long as I don't have to talk. And so it was just kind of me grabbing the bottle, and then I just kind of giggled. And so, yeah, I definitely don't have a career in acting, but we appreciate all the support we get from the community. We're very fortunate that a lot of different businesses, such as Ruby Tuesday and Waiakea, they step up and they support us. And that really goes a long ways for our kids. And I just want everyone that, knows to know that who supports our program. It does not go unnoticed, and you guys do make a big difference, so thank you.
By the way, you're modest. That was a great social media post for Waiakea Water. You did a really good job.
You just
looked very
laughed.
casual. And, consumed. Oh, there's a question that may put you on the spot a bit, which I also want to ask you. Since you answered that question about what is the best team, who would be on your Mount Rushmore best 4 players that you have coached here?
4, as
Yes.
in position? Or
4 players that would be
4
on your
players.
Mount, any position.
Shauna Kwehu. Amy Atwell. This is a really hard question because
Yeah.
there's so many different facets to what kids have done. Amani Perez.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I can't look into the future, so I do think Bailey Flavel and Ritoria Tamila will go down as 2 of the best players that we've ever had. Obviously, Lily, Wahine Kapu, she was amazing. She's enjoying her time over in Lithuania, but she was an amazing player to coach. Deja Phillips was fun. She's a great kid. She was fun to coach. Kalea Adolfo was really fun. I wish I would have had more time with her. Yeah, I'm going to go back and I'm going to think, oh my gosh, I just blew that question. If I had my whole roster in front of me, I would be able to probably kind of pick a little bit better. But, obviously, like I said, Amy Atwell, Shauna, Amani, those guys.
Yeah, that's a tough question to narrow it down to 4. 'Cause
Yeah.
you could probably put a team of your greatest players, but to narrow it down to 4 is always a challenge. I did want to ask you, another couple of, we want to get to UC Irvine a bit, but I did want to get a couple of player summaries. Jovi Lefotu.
Got to keep her healthy. I think she could be absolutely one of the best guards to ever come out of this program, but we got to keep healthy. She is amazing with her kinesthetic awareness, her basketball IQ, her ability to play with pace and strength. I wish Jovi had the confidence in herself that we have in her, because I think that would make a difference in how she approaches the games. She is more than capable of handling the pressure of putting a team on her back. And she just has to be willing to make the mistakes. But that young woman is an incredible athlete, an incredible basketball player.
This weekend, the 1-1 game against UC Irvine, who's off to a great start. They're leading the conference at the moment. 4-0 in the conference, 13-2 overall. 2 players averaging in double digits. Hunter Hernandez, a 5'9" guard, preseason all-conference. In the Scout, what are you preparing for with them?
They're really good. Defensively, they're going to pick us up in man on misses. They're going to pick us up in a full court zone press and drop back into a really aggressive 2-3 zone on makes. At least that's what they've done in the past. They could change everything up. Hunter Hernandez is going to get touches. She is a high usage player. She is the dog for that team, and she's not afraid to put that team on her back. She loves to go left, pull up jumpers. She's a little bit of a matchup problem for us because she's a bigger guard. And then they have Jada Wynn. That's a transfer. She's been at a couple different, I think Colorado might have been her last state, but Power 4 teams. Very talented young woman. Again, she's a 6'1" guard. So she puts a little bit of pressure on how we're going to defend her. But again, it's going to come down to they do what we struggle with, which is the pressure. We have to handle the pressure. We cannot play fast. And then defensively, we have to understand our assignments. They're going to score, but we can't give them second and third opportunities on boards and turn the ball over and give them extra possessions. So I do think we have the advantage inside. That zone's going to make it a little bit difficult. But if we do some inside-outside, kicking the ball around, we could really have some open shots, and we just have to hit shots.
You mentioned Jada Wynn, a tall guard. Our team has some tall guards. What is if you would say, the pros and cons of having a taller guard on perimeter, either offensively or defensively?
It's all about the skill set. If we have a tall guard that can handle the ball and defend, then that's, what we're looking for. If you have a tall guard that is limited to certain things, then it becomes a matchup problem for us. Izzy shoots the ball really well, but she struggles playing smaller guards. And so you play her at a 4, you lose some size. You play her at a 3, you lose some speed on the defensive end. But you never want to take away what she does brilliantly, which is her shooting. So it's finding those right matchups for those kids.
All right, let's do a couple more player summaries. We talked about Vittoria Tamilo.
Probably one of the most favorite kids I've coached. She just is mature. She's easygoing. She's got a fun little personality, confident, and I think is still trying to figure out how good she wants to be. I think she knows she's good. I think she needs to figure out how good does she want to be. And you have to meet kids where they are. Just because everyone else thinks Tori is going to be a pro, maybe that's not what Tori wants right now. Maybe that's not where she is right now. And forcing kids to do things only creates anxiety within play. And so I think Tori has to have that, come to Jesus with herself a little bit of what do I want to do, and be okay if it's I want to be the best or I just want to be great. And there's nothing wrong with either of those scenarios. And then we meet her where she is. If she decides she wants to be that pro, she will be one of the best players New Zealand's seen, in my opinion.
And Kiara Curtis, who got a start over this past weekend.
Curdy. I was super proud of her in San Diego. That's a lot of pressure to put on a true freshman playing some of the best guards in our conference. She had 4 turnovers. And that's amazing for that young woman to come out, run our offense, have to guard some really good guards, get pressured all night long. She's a kid that by the time I think she's a sophomore is going to be that dog for us. I don't think it happens sooner than that. It might. I would be thankful if it did. I don't know if she's going to be capable, but I think by her sophomore year, she's going to be willing to hold kids accountable, run our offense, and not be afraid to take the game-winning shot.
She's very lean, and she seems almost small, but like you mentioned, she has that aggression with her, and the part I like is kind of that exuberance she has when she knocks that 3. Yeah. She kind of can shift momentum in a game.
She can, because she's not afraid to trash talk a little bit. And I like trash talking. You can't look at the opponent when you trash talk. I told her to come trash talk me if she wants to. But she's not afraid to play the game like you're out on the street. And that is what I think is missing at times within our program is we want to be kind of cookie cutter, and sometimes you just gotta play. And so, but don't let her lean size fool you. That young lady is strong. She loves to get in the weight room. We just need to keep, getting her a little bit more beefy with food and protein shakes. And that'll be something as she continues to mature. But good kid, super proud of her where she is right now.
And hydrated with YK water.
That's right. That's right.
Well, Coach, thanks again. Good luck against UC Irvine.
Appreciate it. Thank you all for coming out.
And it's Laura Beeman Show live from Ruby Tuesday, ESPN Honolulu.
This has been the Laura Beeman Show on ESPN Honolulu. Brought to you by Hawaii USA Federal Credit Union, Hawaii Pacific Health, HGEA, HCAMP, Castle Resorts and Hotels, IBEW Local 1186, Aloha Termite and Pest Control, the Hawaii Building and Construction Trades Council, Ruby Tuesday Hawaii, and Hawaiian Financial Federal Credit Union.
Did you know